I got you on a liver, though. I got you. And then everybody's mad at me. Oh, gosh. Give me a break.
I'm sorry, you having a hard time at school because they make you sit still and do nothing with your life instead of be a man? Well, maybe it's a you problem, Goy. Here, take this pill. It's gonna stun your growth and make you insane. And we're gonna call it fixing you. And you're gonna be addicted to it.
I forgot about this song. To show you we're the best. Pest. You actually thought that you were chosen. We're not impressed. You thought deception was a flex. Guess. Well, now you're up against someone that knows the truth. The smell of a funeral in your home. Your mouth is an open catacomb. Speaking the word gets a little worse. You move through the crowd like a walking corpse. Just stay in the nightmare you know so well. Cause now you get recognized by your smell. And no one is with you anymore. It's time to reward you for all your work. I'm out of control. yes. Oh my gosh. Pushing on past my feelings, 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 pushing on past my feelings. I know I'm not cool, I'm trying to be. I know I'm not tough, I'm not trying to be. There's a reason I'm rising to the top. I won't please anyone except myself at last. Good luck, I'll see you again. There'll be no need for repair. Just not get into despair. Let's not pretend we're not pushing on past my feelings, snushing on snash my feelings, blushing on blush blind feelings, flushing flan flash fly feelings, squishing on crash my feelings, working on God my feelings, smoking on black my feelings. End of the day, I'm dealing with me. Do what you may. I'm dealing with me. Lies and snakes. Even meet the shakes. I hear what you say, but I'm dealing with me.
I think I gave enough time for people to come on. We have stuff to cover. Ooh, the grifting stuff is on display. It's fine, nobody cares. This was day 1. Oh. We are going to move to day 2. Alright. By the way, if you want to know of a good little place that you can do cool stuff with your stream, Live Joiner is a great place. I would recommend it 100%. Live Joiner allows you, for example, to be on OBS and bring up your different chats, and you can set goals. So let's get started. let's get this party started. First of all, hope you all have a blessed day and you have been having a good day. Today's been a day of just unraveling idiots on the internet for some reason. The way that it goes, baby. Yeah, let's get things started. Today we had a couple of debates that I did watch. I'll probably do a day 4. It's day 2 of one of the debates. I'm gonna do day 3, but it's just me watching debates that haven't finished or have not watched completely. I watched like 80% of the Destiny versus what's his name? Dinesh debate. Interesting debate, not the best, but good enough. Kokomo, good to see you. Hope you enjoy me crashing the panel and finally making a sensitive guy really a bitch. That was funny as fuck. What do you mean by you fool, by the way? Emmet, you fool. It is what it is. So let's get this started. This is one debate that I heard to air that at the beginning and I thought she was normal, but apparently she went insane. The more she talked, the more insane she became, and at the end it seemed like she was in some kind of, allegedly, she was in some kind of thing. GS was calling you a fool. Who cares? Quite literally, who cares? The guy who was clutching his pearls was quite literally insulting in the worst possible way, and then not understanding that he was blaspheming at the same time. Me explaining to him, well, it's this thing called the world concept fallacy. It's so fucking stupid. First dono of the day. Thank you very much. That means Kokomo first. Says W. Emmet. Thank you very much for this huge, enormous $20 Australian for the patriarchy, and thank you so much for that. That's pretty cool. Tacticus says you sub and hit the like for Thank you very much, Tacticus. I'm just hoping for the guy to just come up and be like, yeah, let me show you how my Bible speaks. He's so dumb. He's so dumb. Generally specific, the dumbest guy I've ever seen on the internet. You're gonna have so many people follows me. I'm so important. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares. We're gonna be talking about someone actually important, and this person is gonna be Rachel. We're gonna be talking a little bit about Rachel. We're gonna be talking a little bit about Erdad. We're gonna be talking about this debate. This debate was insane. Actually insane. The argument from Rachel was very good and interesting. She was pretty much making a economics argument, which was really, really good. How difficult to answer what denomination you are? He's probably non-denom. So he didn't want he didn't want to say it because he thought I was gonna attack him. But to be honest, I wasn't. I came in and I just didn't want to know who was he, because I'd never seen him before. But he just ended up being a complete asshole. Thought he was getting a coordinated attack. It was just a regular afterpound. He just got a little bit of the Emmet, It's like, people don't know there was a intercontinental missile. It was pointing towards him and just got targeted and didn't realize what happened. Good, my ravioli out of the microwave. Good to see everybody who's here. Good to see you, Crucible Crusader, Angry Casper, Kokoshuko. Good to see Savage Sacred Girl with a huge too. If you're a broke girl, you say so. You're amazing. We love a drunk JS rage quit. Thank you. That was so weird. So weird. The guy is so weird. I'm gonna be talking directly about this debate. Rachel makes a very interesting argument for the economy. It's just basic talking points, and pretty much states that the biggest issue that we have seen in the economy comes from the 70s, where we finally get the contraceptive pill, and you get the idea of the woman in the workforce. Panchuchin says, but you were a mini Emmet. I know. I said fuck. Oh lord. Oh no, my pearls. I did get a call from the police. They were like, careful out there. There's a person, stealing every single pearl. So I think he was having problems. He's having a little bit of problems with the police. Insane, dude. This is fucking insane. I find it funny that people are like, why don't you cam up? I wasn't gonna cam up. I don't prepare today to cam up. I usually wear a shirt, and and then I was like, you want me to cam up? Let's set up a debate. And he ran away from that so hard. When I said let's have a debate, and he just pretty much wanted to run away from it. It's non-denominational. It's just non-denom. Oh, you're Andrew Wilson. Like, no, I'm not. I wish I was. I will be making a ton more money. Don't get me wrong. Wish I was more successful than I am. I can tell you that. Shit. And Kyla was okay in the debate, but she will get progressively insane. Oh, I will say this. There is nobody in the entire world that sounds more condescending and annoying than this fucking bitch in red, okay? Economically super important? Not necessarily. The idea of the gold standard, yes, is important, and you can say that it has created a problem, specifically with inflation, but it's not the most important thing when it comes to economics. Economics, at the end of the day, is a reflection of the capacity of the people and their desires and their wants. So a lot of people don't understand economics because they think economics is something different. But my apologies for the sound. Sound is back up. But yeah, Erudite is the worst fucking people. Okay, she is actually the worst when it comes to the worst condescending, horrible person ever. I don't know. Fucking not so bright. Yep.
Time as that is Roe v. Wade and the birth control pill. So women started
and
only
the gold
having...
standard getting removed. That one's kind of important too.
What's that?
Well, the gold standard got removed as well.
This is a very simple thing that she's doing. They're talking about the economy and the effects that the women have had, and she's going to bring something that is absolutely not relevant to the argument. So she's like, well, you know what? This also happened. It's like, well, yes, that happened, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not relevant to the point. And once again, the gold standard is important, but it's not the most important. It just showcases a problem when it comes to the currency in general. She is absolutely insufferable. Like, I don't think I can ever watch her more than 5 seconds. I have watched like Destiny for a long time. The difference is, even Destiny sounds condescending when he is debating to the other people. When he's talking to chat, he's not necessarily talking. He doesn't sound condescending to the people in chat. But this person, this fucking bitch in red, she sounds condescending to everybody. It's very annoying. But I want you to we're gonna go to this part of the debate, and then we're gonna move ahead. I'm not gonna show all of it. If you wanna see it, I would recommend you to go to MDD. They have a membership. You can watch it. I bought this membership so we can watch it together a little bit. And I want you to listen to her now, and I want you to listen to her at the end of the debate, because I really think that she ingested something. Okay.
Sure. I don't
Well,
think
that's economically super important, right?
it's important, but
What
I
do you
don't
mean
think
it's important? We fundamentally changed our
But-
relationship from the gold standard, the petrodollar, under Nixon in
but
1971.
that's not why women joined the economy.
But
That's
that
not why
might
women
explain economic
started.
changes, no?
No, it doesn't.
The gold standard.
Because what you're not understanding is it's about the birth rate. It's not that women working is a problem if they were still having 2.2 or 2.5 babies per woman. But when you tell women, hey, spend all your fertile years going to college and starting a career and don't even think about settling down and having kids until you're 31, which is the average age that a woman is having her first child now, that's a serious problem. And we have historical examples of countries who've gone through this. Russia is a great one. They made abortion legal and paid for in state hospitals under Lenin. And it was so bad, like the demographic cliff was so bad for Russia that by the time Stalin came to power, he had to roll all of that back.
This is actually true. In Russia, it was the first big country that allowed for all of the AB to happen. And when around the 30s, Stalin realizes that they're like losing all of their people, and he had to revert that. He just had to revert
But
that.
because they were communists, they wanted to push women into the workforce. You need workers to have communism. Women needed to be working, and they
We'll talk about that in a moment, because that happened to me too. And by the way, I just want you to realize something. These people, for example, General Specific or Not So Bright, when they say something that is like a tragedy to them in the middle of a debate, what they're saying and what they're using is a shaming tactic and an attack to the sensibilities that you have in like in the way that you act, so that they can pretend not to have give me a second. Okay, sorry, I got a little info about somebody. Yeah, when you're in the middle of a debate and you're attacking them with something, and then reply with, but me, this happened to me, my friend died. They don't really care. They just want to use your sympathy for them. When he talked about, my mom's dead, and I said, I'm really sorry for your loss, and I was a little bit condescending. I was condescending. It's still like the good thing to say, but when DSD said my husband died, and he just pretty much said good, it just showcases that they don't care. They're just using anything to attack you. Okay, they really are. They're people like people on the left have, I would say on the left, people that argue that way, they don't care. AVG God, you single too? Well, at the end of the day, it's not his fucking business if I'm single or not. I will never tell anybody if I am single or not. Okay? To all of you, I'm an incel that has never seen a woman, and I'm okay with that.
tried to do women workers and pronatalism at the same time. It did not work. They've never recovered
all
their
economies
birth
need
rate.
workers, right? The most important piece of basically capital investment
Sure.
is human
Which is
human
why
capital.
you could also look at South Korea, which is a very capitalist Western style economy, but has also been taken over by feminism, and they have 0.7 births per woman right now. There's
So-
not going to be a South Korea in the next 20 or 30 years
So
if
why,
they don't turn it around.
I'm curious, what's the number one correlate to declining birth rates in a nation?
Women's access to higher education.
Correct. Yes, women's access. It's actually everyone's access to higher education. So I'm curious, Would you consider Saudi Arabia particularly feminist?
Not particularly feminist.
Qatar?
No. But no.
Okay, so the Gulf states also have declining birth rates, but feminism isn't causing that.
They
It is causing that. Feminism is in fact causing that. Okay? There is a direct causation by feminism in those states. They have been infiltrated and they're in an earlier stage, and they obviously have a problem because there is a different kind of ideology. We're talking about Islam, but they're still having problems in that aspect. Every time she says right, I lose my mind. She's annoying as fuck. I was listening to the debate. I was just working on other stuff and listening to the debate. I was ready to throw my phone a couple of times and just be like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Hyper selection on top of Muslim base, she's so stupid. But it is actually the case that the ideology is affecting their it is affecting them. Also, a lot of the wealth that they're having, it doesn't come from them as a people, but it comes from the United States. So most of those demographics are closet home. They are, absolutely. Brie with insanely huge. Oh, sorry, no. Brie with a Canadian 2. If you're a broke girl, you says shut up, not so bright. Shut up. Shut up, not so bright. Just shut the fuck up, not so bright. Somebody right now, and somebody is clutching their pearls because I said fucking. Shut the fuck up. It was funny that he was like, you used Jesus F Christ there, and I was like, yeah, because it's just a phraseology. I'm not referencing actually God in this case. It's so easy to understand that. But yeah, these obviously that's the comeback that we're gonna see from Rachel, and it's kind of funny that she pretends not to understand that specifically.
What's happening there?
because they've started.
Saudi Arabia, famous
Yes.
for feminizing. Qatar, famous for feminizing.
They have started
Yeah, they have. There's the idea of the liberation of the liberation of woman, and I said liberation in quotations. It's not actual liberation. It's gonna be. It's just weird. So Saudi Arabia woman driving license. Yeah. Yeah, on 2019 they can now apply to driving license without the permission of a male. So we're seeing the movement towards that. It's little by little, but it will move towards that idea. That's the point that they're making.
letting women work. They've started allowing things like birth
Their
control.
birth rate's
It's
been
more
declining
subtle.
for a long time. Actually, it's below replacement now.
Yes, everybody in first world economies where there's urbanization, industrialization, as I explained, that's what enables feminism.
So isn't it urbanization that we're blaming here? Because I feel like there's an
not
interesting
until
thing.
you push women into the workforce and they stop having kids. Again, if women were working as nurses and still having 2.5 kids per woman, I would have no problem with it. But nothing you're addressing tells me what we're going to do about this.
Well, nothing you're pointing to
to
says it all falls at the feet of feminism, right? What you're pointing
why
to
did
right
the
now,
women stop having babies?
because of modernization through increased education. Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia,
because
I'm so sorry. As much as you might want to insist Saudi Arabia is feminist, it's certainly not. In fact, do you know why women in Saudi Arabia are pushed into education? It increases their dowry value. That's why. Because it's like
That sounds like an Islam problem.
well, Victoria, England did this as well, where essentially they view
The kind of that's the problem that they're having in here specifically, okay, is that they're not understanding the difference between because they're saying, oh, it's about the dowry. Well, no, the thing that they're saying when it comes to the value is what kind of education. And this is something that a lot of leftists don't understand. A person having lesbian dance studies versus a person being a nurse, their value is very different. Okay? And this is something that places like Saudi Arabia that have like the orange stuff like that have an idea between them. Thank you very much to Jared Speaks for the insanely huge, enormous $5 super chat. Says, get the donuts in, support the channel. All hail Lord Count Emmett. Sarcasm for those who are new. It's not sarcasm, okay? You will all submit. Thank you, Jared, for the insanely huge, ginormous $5 super chat.
Proof of education as good genetic stock, so it makes that wife a more valuable woman. So
Right,
I
but
don't know what's
nobody had a
feminist
birth
about
rate
that.
crisis in Victorian England.
Well, the thing that you have to disentangle here is why is Saudi Arabia having the same problems that you're falling at the feet of feminism? And I'm saying it looks more like modernization might be the problem here. And Saudi Arabia certainly has both modernization, but it certainly doesn't have feminism. So you're going to have to answer
The
the Qatar Gulf
CDC and
problem.
the United Nations both say that the main correlate for declining birth rates is sending women to college and sending them to work.
I didn't
And
disagree with that.
As a mother
That's just not
of 5,
feminism.
as a mother of
necessarily.
5, you cannot have more than maybe one child and work full time because you have to outsource motherhood to daycare, which
Why?
is expensive. What do you mean, why?
Why do we have the runaway cost issues in America?
Runaway what?
Cost issues in America.
It's not runaway cost issues. It's the fact
not?
that
It's not affordable right now. It's
you
tougher.
can't make daycare cheap enough for it to offset the cost of a woman working full time. That's math.
True, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just how the math works, and I don't mean that in a completely bad way. By the way, I don't think anybody really believes that the problem is women working. That's not the problem. The problem that we're looking at when it comes to the idea in every single, when we're looking at this, the problem that we're seeing is what kind of education are we giving? What kind of incentives are we going for? Okay? Erudite owned Rachel is the wages, you moron. I don't know if you understand what you're talking about. The wages? You mean, because there's going to be people watching the kids and you have to pay them too. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of overhead. And the more that you increase taxes and you do this whole idea of subsidization and, you know, paying more in taxes, the more you're going to have to pay to get the kids taken care of. So I don't understand where you're coming from. Send that, but I don't think you understand the whole point.
How are you going to make daycare cheap enough that a woman can have 5 babies and work a full-time job? And why would you want that?
Well,
Why don't we want mothers? Any mothers here love having to send their kids to be raised by someone else all day? Do you guys
the question
like that?
again, you can narrativize, but the question I'm actually trying to pose you and get an answer to is what changed in the 70s, as you claim, where women started becoming dual income earners? What changed in families? What was going on? And you're like, the gold standard.
Are you asking
that doesn't
what?
matter.
No, I'm telling you exactly what happened, and this is not me. This is the U.S. Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Commerce. All the sources in my slides say that in the 70s, the reason was because we had a huge income tax deficit because of the Vietnam War.
The income of jobs in general would just have been stagnant compared to inflation. What income? Because that is not correct. Hey, Doom.
At the same
This is a false statement, by the way. This is completely false. Wages have not been stagnant compared to inflation. There's a lot of people who charge a lot more money in accordance to what they are, in accordance to what they do. And the reason why is because of inflation. Okay? In fact, it is true that wages take longer to get to inflation, but they're not the only thing. They're not stagnant. They're not the same way. What they use is minimum wage. Minimum wage has been stagnant, but it's even better that it's stagnant because nobody wants to get the minimum wage anyway. Okay, So these people pretend that they're using the minimum wage as a standard as to why is it that you have why wages have been stagnant, but in reality only about 1% of the population even get minimum wage. It's not correct. It's not the amount of money people get. It is absolutely insane that he pretends to see that. Avery.
Time that they had passed birth control legislation making it legal, and not only that, making it free and cheap and socially acceptable. We had Roe v. Wade, now everybody can get an abortion, and at the same time, you start pushing through the culture through a massive propaganda campaign, through things like, remember the Stepford Wives movies, remember the Mary Tyler Moore Show? The 70s were just saturated with girl boss empowerment stuff, and I was born in 1980 with She-Ra and Madonna and, telling women that motherhood is a ball and chain, that the smart girls go to college and have their own money and they don't need a man. So you've got this cultural propaganda campaign, you've got government money subsidizing college, which is why it's so expensive, by the way. And then you've got birth control and abortion. Okay. So the trend becomes, go get your bag, go get your career. Men are icky and bad, they're gonna abuse you. Children are a ball and chain that are gonna hold you back. You need to go to work.
Sure.
And that's what women do. They
still haven't gotten an answer to the Gulf states, seems like.
And that is like the point, right? When it comes to the actual point of this debate is not to say, hey, women are bad because they work. In fact, Briley is going to become a boss babe soon enough. Okay, soon enough. The point that we're making is what kind of incentives do we want and what kind of ideas is that we want to put forward, so people should be able or should be looking forward to have a family, right? But it's not necessarily, it's not wrong that women work. It's just what kind of incentives are you having? What kind of ideas are you having? What kind of things do you want when it comes to raising the, raising a family, raising kids, having a structure in society. You could raise the minimum wage to $100 an hour tomorrow. The only thing that would change, the burger will now cost $90 or more. Exactly. The thing, because some wages in certain sections are, I don't know what you're talking about. The point that I'm making is, well, first off, you don't have to get me a source. I know more about inflation than you could ever understand. Okay? It takes longer for wages to rise at the level of inflation. The problem with inflation has nothing to do with wages. It has to do with how amount of money that is being printed by the government. That is the actual problem. So sure, you can get me any kind of things, but this has nothing to do with it. We're gonna go a little bit further because the debate gets dumber and dumber.
Grow as your family grows. And then after that,
I want to see when.
By the way, Claudia Golden discovered and coined the term the Quiet Revolution, which in the late 1970s there was a
little bit before.
Speakers can be heard. I do need you to keep it quiet in the audience.
It's not going to be a problem.
I think that we absolutely need to incentivize.
Kyla. Just to be clear, I'm going to give you full 2 minutes. If you want to use all of it, you can. Otherwise, you can kick it back to her when you want to.
Here's what I'll say. Let's just talk. If I start listing off like a bunch of points, just interrupt me. It's pretty simple.
No,
I don't know, guys. I know conversations are hard for like the autism in the room, but that's how they can work.
We're not going back. It was your idea to do 2 minutes.
It
Let's
was
give this a
sardonic.
try.
Sure, I'll take 2 minutes precisely. Sure, we can do that. It's just gonna be a terrible conversation.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, Rachel took 1:40 or so, and then she let you go for your 2 minutes. If you want to use a minute,
I want 10 seconds. Okay. Oh, I know. I'm so fast.
All right, but I'm going to kick it
Bull.
over to Rachel to use 2 minutes.
You just said.
Oh, did you see that? That's American Nacho. That's American Nacho right there. Pretty cool.
Oh, I know. I'm so fast.
All right, but I'm going to kick
Bull.
it over to Rachel to use 2 minutes.
You just said industrialization is when women started going to work. That's false. Industrialization is when women stopped going to work. That's when women workforce participation declined in the 1800s.
What? Okay, so
Hard for your narrative.
it's no. When you talk about women working, nobody thinks that working on your family farm or in your family business with your husband and your dad and everyone, nobody thinks, when we say women going to work, we're talking about dad leaves the house in the morning and goes to his place of business, mom leaves her house in the morning, goes to her place of business, and the kids get sent to daycare or public school. That's new. That's post-industrial. Nobody thinks that agrarian pre-industrial society where you're working the farmstead with your husband is women going to work. They were having 7 babies on average before industrialization per woman. That was fine. Even post-industrialization could have been possibly sustainable had we not introduced sexual liberation, sending women to college, delaying the first birth until
Thank you very much. Oh, that's right. That's correct. I forgot 100%. This is Bree. It's a birthday. So, happy birthday to Bree. I'll probably, maybe later. But we'll make something out of it. Section 230 says, it's Navy Bree's birthday. Happy birthday to her. So now I'm sending you money instead because patriarchy made me do it. Thank you very much for the insanely huge, enormous 5 section. That's greatly appreciated. Yeah, happy birthday to you, Bree. Happy birthday.
you're 31. That is doom. It's demographic doom, and you don't have a way out of it, and you don't have an answer for it, which is why you want to talk about anything else.
Speaking of wanting to talk about anything else, still haven't gotten an answer to the 1970s question, which
I
again,
granted it.
You can laugh.
I granted it.
It is a hinge point of your narrative.
It's not.
It
I
is.
granted it.
I
You're
asked you when.
completely
I
right.
asked you
You're
when.
completely right about the 70s. I'm just going to grant the, you get the whole kit and caboodle, full point for you. Now, what are you going to do about demographics?
Just so the speakers can be heard, I do need you to keep it quiet in the audience. Is not so erudite. You have 2 minutes if you want to use it. Sure. Otherwise, we kick it back to Rachel for 2 minutes.
No, I'll use.
Oh, I want to go back to where they started doing the timed.
It doesn't address the problem that you have, which
Red
is
Bull,
the
though.
Something's happening there. Okay, your source says lower income workers. That was 100% all wages. That's true. What are we talking about?
That's what's expected. I'm not going to have kids. Now, again, we can go back and prove this is what happened in Russia, and it didn't matter.
There is a character, I don't remember which one, but it's like an 80s anime character that had like these kind of shoulder pads. It's really interesting to see it happen.
How many pronatalist campaigns they had. Women said, if I got to work full time, I can't have 3 or 4 kids. It doesn't work. You look at South Korea, same thing. They don't have communism. They don't have pronatalism. It's a capitalist Western style economy, and they can't even reproduce the Korean woman.
Okay.
It's a serious problem that arguing over the gold standard or the 70s or women should have choices. First of all, they've always had choices. Second of all,
just less.
if you don't address this problem, you can kiss feminism goodbye. You won't have it anymore. It won't exist.
There's this really famous, actually you introduced me to this researcher, Joseph Miller, because you cite him a few times. There's a great conversation that the anti-suffragettes had where they insisted that, oh, by God, if the feminists, if all this happens, the world is going to collapse. People have been insisting that the world is going to collapse in the next 10 years. I mean, the climate people as well were insisting that we were going to die in the next 10 years as well. It's just fear-mongering that's not.
Did you notice that she's just like going faster with her words? I'm starting to notice that she's just starting to go faster. She's just going faster. Somebody's getting a little bit of speed, people would say. A little bit of speed.
Typically based in reality. Now, I know you want to run away from counter information that is disconfirming of your narrative, but you still need to deal with the Gulf states, right? Qatar having declining birth rate. It's not feminism.
Is
it's
that a first world
modernization.
country you want to live in?
No, I want to live here, which has feminism and a booming GDP and one of the best countries on the earth. That's why I'm here.
Well, what are we going to do? Yeah, it's great. It's great right now, but your field of psychology that you got your degree in is so oversaturated. We have, and it's almost all women. It's like 88% women.
Not going to deal with the golfs, though.
There's
We're just going to run
not-
from that one.
there's
I'll just come
not
back to it. It's
enough-
fine. I'll write it down.
You have to hear.
I'll
Go
write it
ahead.
down. It's okay, James. I'll write it down.
You have to be able to hear- you have-
Adderall.
Good one.
It doesn't address the problem that you have, which
That's Red
is
Bull,
the
though.
paradox of pushing women into work and telling them to be career women like you, and then they don't have children. How are you going to perpetuate the next generation? Do you realize that the complex systems first world economies rely on can only suffer about a 5% loss of skilled male workers? And right now in this country and all across the West, we have all of the Gen X and Boomer men who know how to run complex water sewage treatment centers, keep the power grid up and running.
What's wrong with Adderall if the reason follows? It doesn't follow. Also, don't do drugs.
Like, these are highly skilled things. You can't just get someone from Pakistan, put them in a 6-week course or whatever, and make them a power lineman. You can't do that. These men are not replaceable. We have to start having babies, or you're going to have short-term boom. That's what we've got now, at the expense of long-term stability. And it's not fear-mongering, it's math. The World Health Organization, the UN, and Elon Musk talk about it all the time. Like, hey, we're already seeing supply chain shortages. We're already seeing problems in keeping up the infrastructure.
Hey, Mescaline Dreamer.
Trump ran on the fact that most Western nations, like including the US, have shit infrastructure. We have water lines in LA that are 100 years old, blowing up all over the place. What, 6 or 7 of them in the last 2 weeks?
Okay, we
Because
have to
we're
do like a
not
timer at this
replacing
point. I don't
infrastructure.
even.
So
if you want to, I
address
want to
the
talk to you,
demographic
and if we
cliff
want to
or
talk to each
none of
other,
this
we have to go
matters.
point by point. Like if you
Lori, we'll take it
monologue at
back.
me for 5 minutes straight with multiple points, they're all valid points,
I
and I
just-
want to.
The interesting part of the debate is that it's just gonna go 100% into meta conversation. If you can't win on the points, just go to the meta. And I see this happen all the fucking time.
Talk to
I
you
just
about
have
all
one
of them.
question.
I-
How are
I-
you going to solve the birth rate crisis?
Answer mine first. How
There's
do we do
no
that?
future without
How
more
do you
people.
how do you reconcile the fact that you're claiming in the 1970s feminism infused a bunch of women to the workplace, but we actually see the largest
Okay, I'll
boom
just
of women.
grant
Hold
it.
on, I'm not done.
I'll just
Hold on,
grant
I'm not
it.
done.
It
The
doesn't even
largest
matter for my
boom,
argument.
the largest boom of women entering the workplace is right before the golden age of capitalism in America. Right? That's what we see when the American currency becomes the gold world reserve currency. So if you want to blame it at the 1970s, my question to you again is, what actually magically happened? Because based on all of the actual data, nothing transformative happened. Manufacturing was starting to die by the 1950s, right? We have the
Manufacturing was starting to die by the 1950s. This person is actually retarded. Literally, World War II happens. The whole world, quite almost literally the whole world, industry gets destroyed. All of it. Great parts of China, Japan, even Russia had problems with it. All of Europe. The only place in the planet was America. And the one that was actually industrialized was the United States.
dilemma.
Rachel got her emotional support, a Starbucks sippy cup. Just like me, I knew that was an S tier for Melted Prompt. This one is retarded and just running away from the argument. That's what they do when you don't have an actual ideation of what the argument is. You're gonna end up there. And by the way, I just want to make sure this has nothing to do with women who are accomplished. The point of this is to change some of the narrative statements so that people can actually make a decision about what they want with their life. I'm biased maybe, but having babies is really fun. Like, it's really cool. Something that people should aspire to do. And thinking that you could just go into the workforce and sometime when you're 35, you're going to have a baby and that's going to make it better. It just doesn't work that way. Reality is harsher than that. Just a lot harsher.
Which is a much better understanding if you don't know the word, just ask, just saying, okay? The Triffin dilemma is a huge issue that causes massive trade deficits for America, and it causes an issue where people are always going to want to invest in America because, frankly, we're the best. We're the best at everything. So again, if you're going to say it's the 1970s,
I didn't. That's a straw man.
It's
My
not a straw man to say
yes.
that you said the 1970s is when this
Finish,
took off, the she economy
and I'll
happened.
tell you, no.
That's not a straw
That was
man.
not in any way a pillar or linchpin of my argument.
So it's the 1950s?
No, birth rates have declined since industrialization.
You're
Since
right, like the
it
18...
accelerated.
Wait,
It
isn't that like the
accelerated.
1870s?
I have already.
Maybe you mean those 70s.
Okay, when she's done, then I'll talk.
All right. I do want to make sure there's not too much interrupting. So if you
Let's
want
do a
chance-
game. We both talk for 2 minutes at a time. We'll have timers. How about that?
So condescending.
I appreciate that, but
Keyboard
I'm
warriors.
okay with keeping it organic as long as there's not too much interrupting.
Mrs. Turner, is it my turn to
Well,
speak? Can I talk, teacher, please?
Because you're the only person actually being sane right now. If she talks for 7 minutes straight with multiple points,
Just do 2 minutes. It's fine. I have
sure.
one
I
more.
just
Do
want
2
to let's go
minutes.
point by point.
All right, you guys agree on that? That's progress. All right. You guys
Also,
are both
you're
okay
welcome-
with 2
you're
minutes.
welcome to interrupt
I'm
me, like,
setting
when you
the
need to.
timer. Give me 1 second. And Rachel, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So the whole
So that's when they started to do the 2 minutes. It still sounds normal. We're gonna move a little bit ahead. Suzanne Griffin, Grifting. Suzanne Grifting, thank you for the grift. Suzanne Griffith with the $4.99 says, it's a huge, enormous $5. If being condescending wants a sport, she'd be the world champ. She's absolutely insane. Okay, actually insane.
it's like a snowball effect. So yes, GDP is still going up for now. We have maybe 30 to 50 years before we hit serious trouble that we might not recover from for like many generations.
Maybe. I'm sure you don't have a single source for that claim.
I
but that's
just
fine.
said, look at South Korea, look at China, look at Russia.
Well, that would be
They
great if
have
you would
not
tackle the
recovered.
Gulf states. But again, a really big problem with your narrative
Gulf
that you're
states are
pushing here,
behind us,
a big
though.
problem with the narratives that you're pushing here is that the Gulf states are not letting women participate by and large.
It depends on the Gulf state. The Gulf states are very rich. They are starting to do so. We can see Saudi Arabia with, for example, the capacity of women now being able to get a driver license. It's a trend of, right? I'm not saying that they have the same kind of capacities or rights or whatever. It's just a movement towards. And this is not only there. Some of the people that were deleted by the Iranian regime, a lot of them were feminists, okay? So you know. And this is Iran.
They are getting increasingly educated, and yet their birth rate is still declining.
Yeah,
So
they're
women
like
not
70
taking all
years
these jobs.
behind us.
I do
And their
wanna-
GDP is booming and growing because, to be honest,
Because they're 70 years
I do-
behind us.
No,
They'll
it's-
have
I
this
do wanna-
problem.
I will tell you why
I do
it's
wanna-
booming. The reason why it's booming is because rather than allowing women to participate in the workforce at all in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait, what they do is mass migration. They bring in a whole bunch of people, particularly from like Trinidad and Tobago. They bring in all of these
No, they bring a lot of people. They depend on what they want because they can pay them, okay? And they bring a lot of specialized people. And one of the reasons why they can do it is because the United States have a lot of money. They get a lot of money at the United States because of the petrol, pretty much, out of oil. And they have to literally buy people from outside because their own population are not as smart as they need them, so they can get the infrastructure that they are supposed to be having.
low-wage workers that they treat as second-class citizens to prop up their economy so
That's
that they can
true.
keep doing these things. So if
Yes.
you want to get women out of the workforce, you are going to have to fill it with something else. And it's not just going to be just men. The reality is, especially if it's a 50-year problem, you're creating an acute crisis where you will absolutely need to just bring in way more mass migration to replace.
That is not correct. You can actually make a lot of changes, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys who can fill those kind of positions. Now, there are people that are super exceptional, and those people are still going to be needed, and they're still going to be super exceptional. The whole point of this is to actually be truthful to the mass majority. Hey, kids are important. You should maybe have one. And this is a general statement to people. Obviously, there is there are exceptions to everything, and this has a lot of exceptions.
Face all of this. But that's just the reality of what you're prescribing for people, right? So again, birth rate going down, I agree. Not great. We should probably try to fix that. But the conversation is about feminism, and you keep insisting it's feminism's fault. But again, the Gulf states easily demonstrate that it's not. Nobody looks at Kuwait and Qatar and goes, wow, the bastion of feminism. Nobody thinks that. Obviously. So your narrative runs into immediately counter-competing information. You talked about manufacturing. Again, manufacturing didn't get crushed because of women's push into the workforce. It got crushed by the Triffin dilemma. The US has massive trade deficits. Everyone knows this. So in this situation, when the US dollar is
The reason why there is a lot of trade deficit has nothing to do with the capacity of the United States. It has to do with the fact that a lot of the persons who used to have the manufacturing in the United States put it out, source it out to other countries where they could literally pay slave wages, reduce their costs, which is what they really wanted to do, reduce the cost as much as possible, and then they pretty much started importing all of the manufacturing to the United States. This is because the people in the United States cost more, okay? You have to pay them more. Now, I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I think it's dumb and bad, and that's why tariffs should be implemented, and we should have a big tariff border, not only to people, but also to, to things from outside. Because we don't need people to be doing it, right? We don't need other people to actually be doing that kind of things for us. Thank you very much to Rachel Wilson for sending huge enormous $20 super chat. Says thanks for covering my debate. DG is copying like crazy right now. I just I didn't think that's when you said at the beginning that she was in Adderall. I wasn't sure, but I think she actually was in some kind of Adderall. This was a great debate, by the way. Big W to you. Big W.
the global currency, everyone wants to bring business.
And thank you very much for reaching the goal. Both of the goals. Well, I don't know if both of the goals, but I think it's both of the goals. We got the 50. We're 2 away. We got the 50 for the day. That's greatly appreciated. You guys are legends. I'll probably do a little break after this. But yeah, thank you so much for the goal for today. Greatly appreciated. This was, when it comes to the debate itself, it was a very good it was a very good way of how the debate was set up, and how is it that she ran away from the actual questions. Like, what do we do to fix the demographic problem?
Here because it's like the hot spot. It's the best place to be, and the American dollar goes far. Manufacturing gets crushed because American workers want higher wages, because our cost of living is higher, because everyone's bringing their business here and everyone's infusing cash all the time. You have to deal with the real economic issues that are.
Yeah, right. People in the United States are worth more. They cost more. Okay, it's wrong to have people in other places that are pretty much slaves be doing things for other people. And the fact that you don't see the slave right now doesn't mean that they're not pretty much slaves. You, as a country, should have good tariffs, so that the people inside can actually compete and work and do the things that they need to do in accordance to our own base. And also, can we talk about removing more of the things that's actually keeping the economy down, which is a lot of it has to do with regulation. Regulations are awful. They destroy the economy. Some of them are necessary. I'm not saying no regulation. I'm saying some of the regulations need to be done, because the more of the bureaucracy that you have, the worse it becomes for the actual for business. And we should also lower taxes when it comes to business inside of the United States. So you up the prices when it comes to tariffs. You make tariffs a lot harsher, and you bring down the you need to bring down the taxes for the local economy. That's the only way that we're gonna solve the economic problem in the United States. Is gonna be with tariffs and lowering taxes.
Causing the issue, not just
And I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are pretty dumb from the left here. We're gonna be like, oh my god, how are you gonna do that? But that's the reality. You need to be able to do that.
blame feminism.
Okay.
Rachel,
And obviously, the other part is the feminism. What I would like to say is, yes, the idea of feminism that has actually destroyed like our position when it comes to families is against the family, right? The family unit is a thing that we should be protecting and preserving, and we have the idea. That's the idea of Christianity. So we need to start telling kids and be honest with them when it comes to how to create families, at what time it's going to happen, and you need to be doing it when you're in your 20s. You obviously can still do it when you're older, but the best way to do it should be on your 20s. That's the difference between this is what you ought to do kind of thing, right? You still can do it, and there's nothing wrong about it. It's just, and especially in the generation that we are right now, right? My generation is filled to the brim with people who were told that feminism was great, right? And you're 35, you have no kids. It's like, is that wrong? Well, not necessarily, but if you want to have a kid, it's okay if you want to do it. That's fine. It's more of the actual. It's what you want to tell to the next generations, to the kids right now. You have to be honest with them. If you don't, yes, you can have a career and get your boss babe things. But if we continue with this, there's not going to be a future. The only way to have like a future as a country is through demographics, and the only way to do it is, telling kids having kids is good. It's gonna make you better. It's the thing that's gonna bring you up in the world.
you got 2 minutes as well.
I'll try this one more time. I'm not blaming every economic problem on feminism. I'm blaming one economic problem, the only one that matters, which is demographics.
Gulf states.
There's a lot of different, they still
not
have
feminism.
above replacement because all the women
They
aren't
don't.
working.
They
I do
don't.
wanna-
Her answer to this is Gulf states. That's the answer to this. I want to go a little bit further along. The reason why is because obviously I don't want to show the whole debate. It's not open. I'll do maybe one when it comes to the whole debate, and then we'll move to the Andrew Wilson one, which I also enjoyed. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's an empty. You can buy a membership. You can get it. It's gonna be. I would recommend it at some point. We're gonna start with Teriyaki, and we'll move from there. And I also want to listen to her because she actually, yeah. Yeah, let's see.
Mrs. Turner.
Look, baby girl, you're gonna love when I go through your book.
I
Okay.
love when she educates me.
All right.
It's my favorite.
When did Hypatia? Who's Hypatia, by the way?
Look, I
It's in your
can't.
book.
You're like meth-spurging, and I can't right now.
I-
I would
We're
like
gonna
to
go
get to
if
the
you,
the
you
next
can keep
question.
like insulting me, Rachel, but
Terry,
first of all,
I'm not
between me and you,
debating
you,
I'm
I'm
mugging you
talking
every
to the
single day.
We're gonna
It's
move.
But second
We're gonna
of all,
move the next
who's
question.
Hypatia?
Teriyaki.
Yeah, you don't want to answer,
Was
do
great.
you?
Yeah, so Kyla, I was wondering, like, what is the proposed solution from feminism? Because in terms of Rachel's proposed
Can you say that
solution,
again? Sorry.
what is the proposed solution from feminism that we're going to get at least 1 million lives back into the economy for workers and all that stuff? This is what Rachel's talking about with the mathematics. We get rid of elective abortion, that's 1 million lives each year coming into America.
Yeah, a lot of those.
What's
So
the
getting rid of the
feminism
abortion
counter?
also means that you're going to have a massive amount of those lives going on the welfare state, which I think you guys don't like, actually.
It's still more
The
people.
solution for birthright that I've offered a number of times is we need modernization solutions. So probably tax credits, making it affordable to have children, making it easier for moms to stay home or work at home and be economically successful. There's a lot of things that we need to try. It's not really a simple solution because it's not a simple problem anymore with modern technology. But we should try things, and we haven't really tried.
At the beginning of the debate, she started, and she sounded extremely condescending and annoying. If you listen to her right now, she's actually on speed. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know how she got inside of her system. I don't know if it happened before, right before the debate, so she calmed down, or what exactly happened. But my God, she's going 100 miles per hour. I think she was trying to catch me on something to make it sound like I didn't write my own book. It's just weird. Michelle could not understand what she was saying to me here. I didn't understand the word. They told me later she was saying hepatia, which I write about in my book. I think the question by Jay just exposed her anyway. But she was actually going like 100 miles per hour at this point. It was kind of insane.
Enough things, and we should.
Yeah, so 1 million lives a year is not worth banning elective abortion, is what
Much
you're saying.
bigger tax base to help fund those social safety nets.
Again, unless they're on welfare, which you would assume that they're going to be if they're being
No,
born to
you would
single
not
mothers.
assume that they're all going to grow up and be on welfare.
I wouldn't
Absolutely
assume
not.
all of them, but I would guess that it would probably be 20 to 30% of them, because probably the women most likely to seek abortions are going to be women in situations where they become single mothers, and so those children are going to be on welfare, which is going to be costing tax receipts. So I guess your system not so great. It feels really great when you chat GBT
All
your
right,
numbers. When you
we're gonna
actually get
jump
real about
into the
economics,
next
it
question.
kind of falls apart.
We're jumping to the next question.
I'm sure if you talk faster and say more, everyone will think you won.
I'm sure that if you're just bitchy and
go.
rude, everyone will.
And by the way, I don't think this is one speed. This is normal speed. This is one speed. Okay?
Think you're
gonna
funny.
go to James.
We're
We're gonna go to James.
All right, so my question's for Kyla. So if greater, it's based off something you said in your opening, if greater reproductive autonomy predictably results in more murdered babies, what's the benefit of that autonomy
It
that
was
is
her opening.
justifying the outcome?
I don't think anywhere in my opening I talked about reproductive autonomy. I think it was her.
No, you said that
You
it's
said
better
the
if women have
predictability.
control over their
You said these things were
reproduction, they can-
predictabilities when you were
Do you
talking
think
about.
reproductive autonomy just means abortion?
It results. Are you going
Are
to
you gonna
answer
answer
my
that
question? Or
question?
are you asking me questions?
Yeah, I'm following
right,
up because
so
you're talking about
Do you
reproductive
want to answer
autonomy.
the question or no?
Do you want to know anything that you're talking about? What's reproductive?
So weird. Easy really pissed her off too. But it was not the only one. It was Easy. It was like 3 or 4 people. We're gonna go through the easy question, and then we'll move a little bit ahead.
This
Autonomy.
is that likability problem Andrew
All
was
right,
talking
we're-
about.
Yeah. There's one thing.
We're going to. All right. Let's rein it
What,
in.
in a room full of Rachel
All right.
fans, they like
Can
you
you-
more? That's crazy.
You know, it helps your
just
arguments if you're
hold
not
on.
insufferable.
All right. Sorry to
I
do
would.
this.
It's
but I do have to-
actually
I do
being
have to-
insufferable is
All
good
right,
for your
I do-
arguments,
I do-
actually.
Just to get
That's
through,
funny.
just to
No,
get through
everybody
people's
likes
questions.
me.
That's
Just to
not
get through.
true.
I'm very popular.
Just to get
and
through people's
well-liked.
questions, can you restate your question in a rephrase it?
Do you want to just talk about abortion? Sounds like you want to talk about abortion.
Okay. Do you want to
Relax,
answer
sir.
my
Keyboard
question
warrior
or do you want to
answer.
ask me questions again?
Okay.
If
go ahead.
greater reproductive autonomy results in more murdered babies, what's the benefit of that autonomy that justifies that outcome?
The benefit of more reproductive autonomy for women is that they're able to better control family planning, which allows them to do things like investing in a career and investing in better marriage status, which is why college women, by the way, have the happiest education. So reproductive autonomy allows them to decide when they go to college because they can offset having children, which is good. It also results in things like abortion, which I agree, it would be great to get those numbers down, but that's why it's valuable, because it does more than just one thing.
Again, that what you just said is okay. Is
Oh, get out of here.
as
You're
a
not even
benefit-
keeping up. Get out.
We're gonna go to the next.
She was so mad. She was so mad. I don't know why she was so mad, but she got really angry.
Next question. Okay. All right.
Your mom's super proud of you, though. Well, probably not actually.
This is a PR disaster.
All right, we're
for
going to
you.
go to the next question.
You are not
All
going
right,
to recover.
We're going to go to the
It's
next
not,
question.
I can assure you.
Who would invite
Here we
you
go.
to an event
Well, we-
after the way you've behaved?
All right, we're going to go
Like,
with Jonathan's
They got a little heated here, and I thought it was kind of funny, the quips.
Question.
question.
believe.
We do have to go to the question. Jonathan has
Like
a
if
question.
you were my daughter,
All right,
I'd be
I hate
hauling
to
you out of
interrupt
here
you
by
guys.
your ear to
And
give
if
you
you were
a
my
talk.
mom, I'd have a lot more
about
drama.
your
Yeah,
behavior.
I know.
We're going to jump to the next question. Come on
Well,
up,
your mama
Jonathan.
should've.
All right, folks, I do need you do us a favor if you can keep it down just so we can hear the speakers and the question asker. All right, Jonathan, go ahead.
So, what is the biggest roadblock to abortion, Rachel?
What is the biggest roadblock
To abolishing abortion?
to abolishing it?
Yes. So there's no more abortion ever.
Women voting for it.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Custody. You guys talked today about about how men work and why they don't get to spend time with their children. But feminists constantly run away from the issue that men are treated unfairly in family courts, and that here in Dallas, 95% of the time custody is awarded to women, and they take those children and they abuse men and take our children away from us in family courts. So what is feminism going to come to the table and make 50-50 shared custody the standard bills and stop voting to take away our children from us all the time?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that you're not particularly familiar with my work, right? Not everything that feminists do I think is good. I actually think that what you're highlighting here is a really big issue, which is why when I started my work in debate, I was in men's spaces advocating for male issues. Family court planning and, for example, things like financial abortion are rights that men don't have access to that creates an unequal rights. And I think that that's an issue that we have to address. And I think the fact that fathers are assumed de facto to not be a good caregiver and therefore they get limited access to their children is a fucking tragedy. I totally agree with you.
All right.
We're gonna move on to, we're gonna take a little bit of a break real quick. I'm gonna move on to the Andrew Wilson. I don't wanna, you know, I would recommend you, if you really wanna understand the whole idea of the debate, this was a very enjoyable debate. Obviously, I think Rachel won. But one of the reasons I thought it was very interesting is because you actually have some of the problems when it comes to the economy. The opening statement by Rachel was extremely well prepared and well done. 100% recommend you go there and watch it. Iridite was insane at the end. She was talking so fast that it was like actually hard to understand and keep up with what she was saying. I'm gonna take a break, as I said. So we're gonna come back with the Andrew Wilson debate, which I thought was a better debate. Not because it was not a better debate as to who was making the better argument. It was a better debate because Erudite's so fucking unlikable. Like at one point in the debate, I just really had to tune her out. She was so unlikable. And it was great to get her, being told again that she's so unlikable. It's what Andrew told you, that you're so unlikable. It was so good. I'm gonna take a little, as I said, we're gonna take a little break. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go get some water, and I'll be right back.
Full of smut. Some things you gotta just stay away from. Scroll while they try to hit the lust. Hit the lust button, make you do something dumb. How are you supposed to live chaste? Advertise execs hit you every which way. Turn you to a coomer for the state. Better you should go blind than masturbate. Let me just speak it from the top. No sugarcoat, no whitewash. You're not meant to live like a dog. Looking for a stump to hump till the epilogue. Try to keep your mind on better things. They keep fashion images that got you panting. Don't give Lucifer another inch. Reaching for the images of his recruit's print. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. The world gets uglier every day. Uninspired buildings littering the landscape. There's no beauty in the modern age. Ugly is the spirit of the age. Ugly is the way that the people behave. Ugly the philosophies they claim. Ugly are the things that they do with their pain. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. Whatever's going on, whenever it is wrong, whatever they're doing to you. Whatever's going on, whatever's going on. Whatever's going on, whenever it is wrong, whatever they're doing it to you. Whatever's going on, whatever's going on. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. Cross yourself and say the Jesus prayer. Pray the Lord gives you strength not to go there. Their spells lose effect if you don't stare. Look away and save yourself from despair. Shots fired. Yeah. Top ramen. Top ramen. Shots fired. Fired. Top ramen. Tony. I'm gonna be anti-Semitic. The Jews aren't Semites. The Palestinians are and the Orthodox have the birthrights. The covenant passed to us when the Talmud us crucified Christ. And now they live like parasites doing all that they can to destroy whites. Boy life, soy fed, gay pride, evil. The Jews fought tooth and nail to ensure that
Look at
porn
those,
was legal.
look at those size.
Cause they knew sex could be used as a
Oh
tool
my
to destroy
God.
the people. And all they could do was destroy from the day they rejected Jesus. Leeches, demons, evil, legion, banksters, wankers, liars, cretins. The deeper you dig, the more you realize that they're the problem. The degeneracy continues till we get rid of all them. Blacks are the golem, Muslims too. Every problem we have was handcrafted by the wily Jew. And if we don't claim our heritage and reject the filth, nothing will stop our entire race from getting killed. No turning back, I said it all. No more was between brothers. It's time for Babylon to fall. It's time for white boy summer. No turning back, I said it all. No more was between brothers. It's time for Babylon to fall. It's time for white boy summer to fall.
Thank you very much to St. Griffith for the $4.99. Wants my heart that there's one guy here defend this dummy. Everyone needs somebody. What happened? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, but let's try not to make these a place where we cannot have disagreements. If people are disagreeing, it's fine. Don't disagree. Don't time out people for just disagreeing. We're gonna try to move on and have a good time. At the end of the day, we're gonna be doing this last one before I come back and we do the Andrew Wilson. By the way, people say people were asking me how long I will be streaming. Maybe a couple of hours more, maybe more. But we're gonna be doing this one.
Saltier than some meat, so patient when I take my style, then blame it on me. I got 100 different and I don't need none of them, so keep on stealing, but you better stop fronting, nigga. I'm the greatest artist alive, no job talking, you should take 5, maybe smoke on 4. Walk and think about what you gon' say next. I don't play favorites, nigga, I'm the gayest. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. I'm the gayest nigga in the world, everybody owe me. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. I'm the gayest nigga in the world, everybody owe me. LOL, magic nigga, you could tell me where my ideas come from, nigga, you a dumb dumb. Thoughts like an avalanche all day, all I do is stand out the way for a second, grab one. Hoover damn couldn't stop my flow, I got more ideas than I know what to do with, I don't need yours. It's a 2-piece, you don't need to speak, but you better stop playing with me or I'll count to 3, bro. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. I'm the gayest nigga in the world, everybody owe me. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. Greatest artist you ever seen, Tony. I'm the gayest nigga in the world, everybody owe me. I said everybody owe me. Everybody owe me. I said everybody owe me. Everybody owe me. Stop playing with the homie, or I'm coming with receipts and I'm getting that money. I said everybody owe me. Everybody owe me. I said everybody owe me. Everybody owe me. Best stop playing with the homie, or I'm coming with receipts and I'm making that money. Whew. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next debate. The next debate was the Andrew Wilson versus this was the Andrew Wilson versus Dinesh D'Souza debate. And I think one of the cool things about this debate, about the Andrew Wilson versus Dinesh, was that, and I'm gonna go right after the opening statements. And I'm just gonna let them go through the debate a little bit, and we're gonna comment as to why. And one of the really interesting and cool things that I've seen, is that was this debate. And one of the reasons why it was such a good debate is it kind of showcases the attitude that I think most people should have when it comes to the Middle East. Okay? We just don't fucking care anymore. We don't care about that place. We don't care about this place in the world. Don't care. Okay? Don't care anymore. Can have their Sinsam water.
They can have the sand cow. We don't care. Just don't. I don't want to send any money to any of those places anymore. None. Please. We got real problems home.
Say it's an historical document that we should read in conjunction with our scriptures. It is included in the Christian scriptures. I asked you true or false, and you truly said false, which to me is deeply heretical
Well.
because it implies that you're saying that the Old Testament does not belong in the Bible.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. So
What are you saying?
to clarify, I'm just saying that I would agree that these things are on a continuity, right? And maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, but now that we have that clarified, I think that these are on a continuity rather
Okay.
than covenantal.
All right, so they're in a continuity. Would you agree that the Old Testament is no less inspired than the New? In other words, it is just as sacred, it's sacred scripture, no less than the New, and on the same footing as the New. You agree?
Sure.
Okay. And you agree that the foundations of Christianity are anchored in the Old Testament, by which I mean that Christianity would be inconceivable without Genesis, the account of creation, the Exodus, the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, it would be totally incoherent.
The prophets. You agree?
Yeah, it'd be
all right.
totally-
You,
totally
you
incoherent.
agree that not only is that Jewish scriptures, but it is no less the Christian scriptures.
Well, the way that we look at it is they're not the Jewish scriptures. They're the Christian scriptures. The way that Christianity is constructed, so for it to make sense, it's a holistic idea. There is not the old and the new. They're all part of one. Right? There's one truth. There's no an old truth and a new truth. And one of the things he's saying is like the Jewish scripture, the Old Testament people who were a part of the covenant that believed in God were also Christians in the way that we look at it. Because the covenant, for example, that was done between Moses and God, the person that Moses was speaking with, and who's seen it, that would be Jesus Christ himself. So it's a togetherness. There's no difference between the Jew and the Gentile when it comes to Jesus Christ and the opening of the church and the redemption of the world. But that, just like there's no difference between them, the all people that were Jewish, they're not still Jewish. They follow the same idea now. They're all They're all Christians. So the people the people are doing this. They all are Christians.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And do you agree further that when the Pilgrims and then later the American founders in America saw themselves as building a civilization anchored on Athens and Jerusalem, when they spoke about Jerusalem, they were referring to Christianity, the Old Testament, and the New? True or false?
I would say that that's true.
That is true. And therefore, America itself, our own country, is based on these two foundations, including the foundation of Jerusalem. If somehow the foundation of Jerusalem, historically, morally, ethically, were to be kicked out, we would be essentially cutting off our own feet. True or false?
Well, just can I ask a clarifying question? So when you say if Jerusalem is kicked out from under our feet, what are you referencing?
I'm referring to the continuous tradition, as you described it, that begins with not just Genesis and Noah and Adam, but then continues with Abraham.
Yeah, you
and
need to have the Old
David.
Testament for there to be a continuity, yes.
There were not clear distinction between the two till like 140 AD. Well, there is no true distinction, as in Judaism and the idea of Christianity. They're different, right? Even in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, they also like very related to the temple and the kingdom because it was given that way. But Christianity is a continuation. At the end of the day, they're the same thing. The only thing that Jesus Christ comes up and it's like he opens up so that we all can have salvation in a sense. Hey, Leah, good to see you. Hello? Abstaining from premarital sex is honorable and virtuous? It is.
Right. And so Jerusalem refers to the whole biblical narrative that begins about 2000 BC with Abraham and continues to the Acts of the Apostles, which is about 60 or 70 AD. That whole story is Jerusalem.
Okay.
And I'm saying that that is a core foundation of our civilization. And
So what?
well, what it means is that that as a country, we recognize that we have moral, philosophical, and historical continuities with certain countries, and I would mention two. Great
So
Britain.
overlapping ethics.
Great Britain, because a lot of the ideas, not only were a lot of the founders coming from Great Britain, but we have had a special relationship with Great Britain that's now extended for many, many years, and it's based on the idea that we've got something in common with these people, even more so than with, say, the Germans or the Norwegians. And therefore, if there's an international crisis, the United States will team up right away with Great Britain as its European sort of, what do you call it, protectorate, and then try to get Great Britain to win over the other European countries. In other words, this special relationship.
So what?
Okay.
Wait, where's
Yeah, the fact that that is the case, and we have all this correlation between Israel and this historical idea, what does that have to do with us having any kind of moral ought to protect these progressive, weird state in the middle of the Middle East, which is like the worst place they could have even go to? Why do we have to protect a bunch of people who are not even Christian? Why? That is the question, right? Just why?
Where do we get to the moral obligation here, Dinesh? Great, we've established, hey, we have a the most special relationship ever with England because our ancestors come from England and France.
Right,
I'll just
and
I'll happen to note very quickly, the top white demographic inside the United States is German, not English. Just want to point that out.
Fair enough.
Very, very far removed from what it was initially at our foundation. Where do we ever get to the moral obligation?
Okay, so first of all, let me address your German point, because there is a key difference between immigrants and settlers. The British built the country. The Germans came to a good country that the British built. So a settler is the guy who makes the country, makes the system. The immigrant is the guy who moves because he believes it's a really good club that he wants to join. So it doesn't matter how many immigrants have come later, the building of America was done by the settlers. Now here's my point. With countries as with people, we have a certain, if you're a conservative, you have a certain respect for your own patrimony. It's yours. It's your lineage.
Blood and
it's
soil?
kind of like saying,
Wait, are you making a blood and soil? I thought you rejected blood and soil.
I'm making an historical, a moral, and an
didn't you write a
intellectual
book
argument.
where you rejected the entirety of blood and soil? And that's the argument you're making here. Blood and soil.
I'm simply
Do
saying.
we have a super special relationship with other white people because they're white, Dinesh?
No, because those white people in other parts of the world had nothing to
Then
do with
what?
America.
Then
but
what
the
the hell
British-
are you talking about, dude?
I'm talking about the.
So once again, he's done the blood on soil, but what does it have to do with the fact that we need to send money to this stupid country in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by gold hoarders? Hoarders is a different word that I can't say, okay? Think about it. At the end of the day, why? I don't think we need to.
The fact that the British did. I'm talking about that the fact that the Bible is situated in that country and no other. It's not as
So what?
So as Christians, this is something that should be important to us. It's evidently not important to you.
Look, let's break a couple things down. Absolutely, it's important.
Okay.
Great. Can we get to the moral lot part?
Okay. All right. So now let's turn to the people who live in Israel. Do you agree that the people who live in Israel are Jews?
Yes. Mystery
Okay.
solved.
Okay. And all right. And do you also agree that they are directly in the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? In other words, they come in a sort of historical, religious, and ancestral line from the old Jews.
No. The answer to that, in the way that I would look at it, would be no. Because the line of the line of the people of God is not related to a blood. It's not the magical blood that makes you think. It would be it would be related directly with it would be directly related to the church. So the church is the thing that that get you closer to God. That's it. That's how you actually get like that special blood per se, right? The fact that your parent, it's not a lineage thing. It's not like, oh, my parent was this, then I'm in a special club with God. That's not how it works. That has never been the case. Much less with Pentecost and the opening of the church and the coming of Christ, right? Now it's even less, and the destruction of the kingdom, especially the old kingdom. Like, what would God have the destruction of Jerusalem and the kingdom of Judah? If there was nothing that was going to replace his people, and the thing is, there was something that had the blood of this special blood per se, right? But now it's not about the blood. It was about faith. It was about baptism. It was about conversion. It was about doing what is right in accordance to God. Legit, Palestinians are the people behind the gave up the faith. Yeah, exactly.
In other words, what I'm saying is...
You mean that particular tribe, coming off the 12 tribes, it can be traced back?
I'm simply saying that there's a line of continuity in the same way that there's a line of continuity...
I agree. Do you agree
Okay.
that that's the case with Palestinians as well? They come
No.
from the same?
No.
No.
Let's take, for example,
Even though the
Gaza.
ancestral DNA points us out?
No, it doesn't.
It
let's
does.
Let's look at Gaza, for example, which is the heart of our debate, Gaza.
It's
Gaza-
definitely not the heart of our debate.
Well, I mean the Palestinian debate. The Palestinian debate right now is not about the West Bank, it's about Gaza. That's where the... Okay.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is that historically, the people who lived in Gaza are not Palestinians. It is a fakery of the name through history that we call them Palestinians. The people who lived in Gaza were the Philistines. The Philistines were your...
No, oh my God. Yes, the Philistines were a people, but the reason why they're called Palestinians now has nothing to do with that. In fact, I have an idea. Okay. I don't know if this is the name. Oh yeah, we're gonna learn a little bit about history real quick.
And jump into
By the way, yeah, the Romans were kind of gay.
absolute isolation, suffering waves
Fucking
of
gay.
sadness, grief, and lots of anger. Meanwhile, the Jews were added again.
So before we move forward, literally, this guy wiped the name off the map and replaced it with Syria, Palestina. Okay? Hadrian, the emperor, destroyed Judea and renamed the place Syria, Palestina. That's where Palestine comes from. So now if people will tell you, oh my God, it was because of the Philistines. No. Hadrian destroyed Judea and renamed it Syria, Palestina. He did it, by the way, in the name, like, reminding the Jews about the Philistines. Yes, because he wanted to shame them. It was a shaming tactic, okay? It's a shaming tactic. That guy's insane. I always enjoyed unbiased history. It's really cool.
Europeans. They came from Greece. They came from Cyprus. This is archaeologically definitively established.
Are
And
they
so,
close? Are they more closely related than like Ashkenazi Jews are to the historic people of Israel?
the Philistines have vanished off the pages of history.
That's not the
Philistines-
question that I asked you.
What is your question?
Mike, the question that I asked you is, would it be the case that the modern Palestinian people would have more ancestry in common with the Jews who currently live in Israel than an Ashkenazi Jew would?
This is a little bit debatable because some of the people who are from that region
It's a
of
little bit
Canaan,
debatable,
No,
huh?
well, here's what I'm saying. If
Okay.
you're making it sound like it is 100% of a genetic argument,
Can you
but
answer the question I asked you without obfuscation? Is it the case or not that Ashkenazi Jews generally have less shared ancestry than Palestinians do with the current Jewish population of Israel?
And I'm
Isn't
saying-
that in fact the case? No, they don't have as much shared ancestry as the Palestinians do who currently live inside of Gaza with the Jews who currently live in Israel. Isn't it true Ashkenazis don't have as much ancestry?
yeah, but Judaism, hold on. Judaism is a combination. You're acting as if Judaism is purely a function of genetics. Judaism is a function of genetics plus history plus religious devotion.
No,
so
Dinesh,
that's what
you
makes
were making
a
that argument because you say you were making it an argument based on continuity.
If Jews are
but if you
thrown
say the
out-
continuity gets broken the second it is that we have Ashkenazi Jews who still have the right of return to Israel, though it is the case that they are now outside of that continuity, Dinesh, now outside of that people group, Dinesh.
Yes, they are outside of the continuity, and the reason why they're outside of the continuity is not even because they're the reason why they're outside of the continuity is because they don't have access even to the temple. They lost the continuity. The only continuity that can be have with the actual idea of God is through the Orthodox Church. That's it. And obviously that is the normative way, right? I'm not saying the church is going to be the way forward. It's just the way that it goes. But that doesn't mean there's no. That doesn't mean that there's that you won't have any grace, right? That's not the case. But true, like what he's saying when he's talking about it is like if you're gonna make that argument, it will be the case that the Ashkenazi have less of a claim if it's gonna be blood and soil.
Yeah, and let's look at why they're outside. The Jews are forcibly ejected from their homeland. They scatter all over the world. Unsurprisingly, they settle in London, they settle in Europe, they settle in Africa, they settle in Asia, but they never relinquish their claim to the land. If they had said, all right, we're out of here, you could then say, all right, other people can wander in.
Well, that's not exactly what happened, okay? The fact that they didn't relinquish the claim doesn't mean that they were forcefully removed for claiming any kind of ownership of the land. In fact, they didn't have any ownership of the land, and they couldn't get any kind of claim.
Claim it's theirs. The Jews never gave it up. They were thrown out. Of course, when they settled elsewhere,
And what
there
is
was some.
your-
Hold on. There
Okay.
was some intermarriage. There was some imports to Judaism by people who converted in. Some people converted out. But the Jewish community as a
I don't know, it gets complicated because you only get the homeland when it's the end of days. You need to, like, some of the ideas of that has nothing to do with the actual kingdom. The end of days could very well mean the end of your days. And at the end of the day, the whole place is it's been given to Jesus Christ, right? So the kingdom is not. The kingdom is a universal kingdom, and it's the church itself.
tribe and as a community remained solidly intact through the centuries. I mean, just read.
Wait, this is hang on.
We're
making a
talking about-
you're making a continuity argument, then breaking continuity. You're making a blood and soil argument, then breaking the idea of blood and soil. You mentioned in the beginning the right of conquest, which is your third criteria. Then you say the Jews got thrown out of Israel, which means somebody else had conquest. That's how they got the land, right?
That's right.
So that's a legitimate way to get the land, right?
That's right, and it was
Okay.
legitimate to take it back by the Crusades. So using the conquest ethic, I agree. The Ottomans captured the land
Okay.
and ruled it for a long time. The Ottomans...
Oh my God! What? The Ottomans? Did we forget the Romans? This reminds me of Futoy. I had a debate with this fucking idiot one time, and I asked him like, who conquered the land, and he was like, well, it was the Ottoman Empire had it, and then the Romans came in. What? What are we talking about? Did we really forget the Romans? Man, the Roman Empire is oh god, not the
Lost
Romans.
World War II, and so by the same ethic of conquest, they were displaced and it became part of the British Mandate, and then the UN basically proposed a partition for the... Now, the point
Hang
is
on,
this.
I'm willing to agree to these facts.
Yeah, with any...
I'm not sure how we get to the ought, though. When do we get to the ought?
Well, when we say we get to the ought, as Christians, we're trying to do what's right. We're trying to support the people who are on the right side of the issue. And
Well,
you
I
seem
don't
to be
know.
saying...
Hang on. When you say Christians, they have to support what's right.
Yeah.
How do Christians know what's right?
Well, okay. Well, in looking at what's right...
This is a great moment of the debate. I'm going to play a little bit more of it, and then we'll move forward a little bit. But I never... I guess I thought about these in the way that he's going to present it, and I think I've seen these presented kind of this way as well. But this was a great argument by Andrew. You'll see.
We look at historical arguments, moral arguments,
Christian ethics.
spiritual continuity, shared moral principles. We also look at the fact that America is a force for good or on the good side in the world, and therefore there are bad guys trying to do us in, and their allies are going to be people that we oppose.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with you in a secular sense that those can be reasons.
Right, but secular
hang on,
reasons...
but you're a Christian. We're talking about whether or not Christians have a moral ought.
Well, Christians are
what is the
also...
specific moral ought a Christian has based on Christian ethics, our paradigm, our worldview, not the secular lens, not the secular view, the Christian view? Why do we have to support a Jewish state that could name Antichrist? Why?
Because, first of all, you can't make up your mind if it's a Jewish state or a secular state. You alternate both based on convenience.
Jewish,
in fact, you alternate it within the same
Jewish.
sentence.
Hang on, don't equivocate. This is pure equivocation. Do you agree with me that there's ethnic Jews and then there are religious Jews?
I agree with that.
Okay, all right, word salad. Hey, Nate, good to see you, by the way.
Then don't equivocate and say, you can't figure out if it's a Jewish state or a secular state, because, Dinesh, it can be a secular Jewish state, can't it?
Israel was
Can it be a secular Jewish state, Dinesh?
Israel
Can
was...
it be a secular Jewish state, Dinesh?
Israel...
Can it be a secular Jewish state?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Okay, but I've never denied it's a secular Jewish state.
You just got done lecturing me about how I called it a Jewish state, then a secular state.
Right,
like
because
that was a
I think,
contradiction.
on the one hand, I think you're trying to appeal to anti-Jewish sentiment, and for that,
no,
you need,
anti-Semites.
For that,
Hold on 1 sec, I wanna
you
give
need the Jewish label.
I want to give...
Anti-Semite.
Israel was truly a secular state, a lot of your antagonism would be diminished. I noticed, for example, you don't have the same hostility to Great Britain, right? Why not? They're a secular state, but they don't have the...
I do. I don't want any money to go to any place ever. I want Tolovan to be paying me for protection. If anybody's gonna be requesting our help when it comes to the military, they better be paying the fuck up. They better be paying up. That's what I want. You're gonna ask for my help for your bullshit? You better be paying up.
Jewish label, so you don't get excited. What I'm getting at here is that...
Hang on. You're saying that...
I'm saying that...
Can you explain to me, just real quick?
Yeah.
Does England, by chance... Is there a possibility that they're going to name Antichrist in my lifetime, Dinesh?
What do you mean by name Antichrist? What are you talking
I'm
about?
not talking about naming the Antichrist, but if Jews get together inside of Israel and they name a Messiah, is that going to be Jesus Christ?
Israel is not going to get together and name a Messiah.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
You're saying...
First of all, you just said 1 minute ago they're a secular state. Now you go, what if the secular state names a Messiah?
Okay.
Does that make any sense to you?
Inside of Israel, do you agree with me that you have the Temple Institute and you have many Jewish organizations that are indeed willing and support the naming of a new Messiah?
There
Hey, Tiny Pinky.
are messianic...
Tiny Pink.
communities, apocalyptic Jewish messianic communities that believe that the rebuilding of the temple is a prelude to the end times. So what?
And no, that's not what I asked you. I
Yeah,
asked you if it is the case that if these right-wing elements inside of Israel, this would be more the right that is doing this than the left-wing elements which are there, which are more secular. If they get together and they do name an antichrist, or I'm sorry, a Messiah, would that Messiah necessarily be Antichrist? Not the Antichrist, but antithetical to Christ because it's a false Messiah.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Then we have established that right now, by the way, do you know how big this movement is in Israel? Could you point, for instance, to England and say 30% of the population wants to name a new Messiah? No. And by the way, hang on, I just want to point something else out. When you talk about this, you say anti-Semitism. It's the opposite. I'm telling you right now, Jews are safer outside of Israel than inside of Israel, and you know that that's true. Can you explain to me how it's anti-Semitic for me to point out, using logic, what's obvious to everybody?
Okay, now explain what you mean. What do you mean when you say Jews are safer outside of Israel? How are they safer?
Yeah, right now, well, at least in every Western nation, there's not a single Western nation that I can look at where Jews live and have lived for the last 40 years, where they're not safer inside of those nations than they are right now inside of the state of Israel.
You mean because there's a war going on?
Well, not just because there's a war going on, but because there's been a continuation of attacks of terror. In other words, from my view, and while I think this is irrelevant to the debate, I'll bite on it. From my view, it seems to me that Israel has not fulfilled its promise of safety for the Jewish people. It has not done so. And right now, you have more Jews who live outside of Israel than inside of Israel, and they're a lot safer than the Jews who live inside of Israel.
Right.
They are not fulfilling the promise of protecting their people group at all. In fact, they're relying on us to do it for them.
And that is absolutely true, because they cannot do it. Literally move to the middle of fucking nowhere, being surrounded by people who hate you. They decide to all be like, we're gonna go and wage absolute destruction upon your soil if we do anything. And then pretend that you have some kind of right of being there. It's freaking weird. Breeze sends a huge 5 ginormous 5 Canadian, says, for the goal. We got a goal. Is it the goal done? We actually fulfill the promise of the goal? We did. There's some confetti going on. Give all of you a round of applause for getting the goal. Thank you very much for the goal. I said that we're going to have a little bit of a break, and I know exactly what everybody wants to hear, okay? We know. Okay? We know.
Baby, don't be absurd. Nationalism's not a bad word. Nationalism. Baby, don't be absurd. Nationalism's not a bad word. Nationalism. Well, I'm ready. Cashed in my tokens, I'm ready. No longer broken, I'm ready. Thank God I'm found and I'm ready. Drop through the ceiling, I'm ready. Gonna bare my soul and I'm ready. Go toe to toe and I'm ready. Like a midnight show and I'm ready. Burn down the building, I'm done placating to the wisdomless. I got a deep dark shadow on my fingers itch. I'm gonna save this country, gonna save these kids. I'm gonna show these niggas what the white man is. I'm gonna save this country from the lying Jew. Gonna deport these Muslims and I'm coming for you. We'll scrap the whole damn thing and we'll try it again. And this time you're not allowed in. Baby, don't be absurd. Nationalism's not a bad word. Nationalism. Baby, don't be absurd. Nationalism's not a bad word.
Nationalism.
Nationalism.
The choose, it's the choose, the choose, the choose, it's the choose, the choose, it's the choose, the choose, the choose, it's the choose, it's the choose.
Gestapo leftists getting way too cozy. These media moguls getting way too nosy. All I ever heard a black man say is you owe me. If it wasn't for us, you'd be a cannibal, homie. It's time we start getting the respect we deserve, instead of giving these people something they didn't earn. These immigrants showing out with a whole lot of nerve. If she was back home, babe, they would have beheaded her.
Baby, don't be absurd. Nationalism's not a bad word. Nationalism. Nationalism.
Baby, don't be absurd.
Nationalism's not a bad word. Nationalism. Nationalism. Pretty cool debate. We're gonna move a little bit forward. I listened to the whole thing. It was actually interesting. We're gonna move forward. I'm gonna continue. They got a little bit more into blood and soil.
Saying that the deviation comes from departing from Christianity. So you would say, well, these Unitarians aren't really Christian.
Didn't
These-
Jews depart from Christianity?
No.
Judaism?
No.
Yes.
Hold on. Of course,
The main part of Christianity called Christ?
The analogy we were making is as follows.
Oh my god. My little goobers have allergies. At least summer air, well, fire stuff didn't help. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hope they feel better soon.
You are saying that secular Judaism is the fault of Judaism. That's why you said
Yes.
Judaism produces this.
Yes.
But
Yes, I
secular-
am. In fact,
right.
it's just like I'm saying that this Protestants who have bad theology, that leads to a secular ideology,
Okay.
provably.
And let me
That's
ask you
what
this.
we saw with Judaism. Its same foundational heresy leads to secular values and progressivism. All we have to do is look at the state they're currently in that they founded, and what do you see? Dinesh, honestly, is it a progressive state or not?
It is a progressive state, but so is America. And what I'm getting at
And
here
America's
is
founded
that
by Protestants who
what
are
I'm
in
getting at
heresy,
is
exactly.
Why does Judaism have to account for secularism as a fault of Judaism, but Christianity suffers no blame, no responsibility, no inherent
It
objection
does.
by the fact...
Protestantism does. You just gave an accounting of it. You just said Protestants hit out east. When you have all these different Protestant heretical sects out east, that led to a progressive ideology. I said, yeah, I agree.
Hold on one sec. Hey, Sean, I think the mic, we might have lost Andrew's mic.
Testing.
Okay,
I think we got
we're
it.
good.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I say I agree. The Protestant ideology led to progressive values. Somehow, though, when it comes to another heresy you agree is a heresy, which also led to huge progressive values in a state you just got done saying is progressive, that has nothing to do with Jews.
Because-
that has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do
I didn't
with...
say it has nothing to do with Jews. I
It
said
has to do with
nothing to
Judaism
do-
being a heresy, man.
I said it has nothing to do with Judaism, just like I would say the same, that in the case of the Northeast, the progressivism comes out of a rebellion against Christianity. Now, what
Like
the left, hold on.
Judaism?
Oh, this is a great comment. I was singing nationalism with my kids only just before because my daughter has been repeating it and headbanging randomly. That's a good one.
Like
it's a
Judaism?
rebellion against Judaism, whereas you're presenting it as a manifestation of it.
Wait, say that again?
I'm saying that the secularism in Israel is a result of a rebellion against Judaism, not a manifestation of it. You are maintaining that
It's a
Judaism...
rebellion against Christianity. The reason that these people groups become so ensconced in progressive ideology is because they reject Jesus Christ as their foundation. That is Islam, that is Judaism, and from my view, that is also many sects of Protestantism, which are non-Trinitarian. The reason they have to adopt those things is because the theology is so bad, they have to fill in the gaps with other
All right,
things.
so what we're saying here, and this is a point of agreement, we are dealing with a menacing radical secularism that has developed in the world and in the West.
Yes.
The West invented it. The Jews did not invent it. Its authors...
Protestants didn't invent it either.
Was Charles Darwin a Jew?
Yeah, but
was Nietzsche a Jew? Was Heidegger a Jew?
The Protestant Reformation paved the way for progressive ethics. I agree with that.
I agree with it too.
But it happened before the great thinkers of progressive enlightenment. The Protestant Reformation paved the way, but it happened before these things came to fruition. By the way, many of these Protestant heresies are considered by both Catholics and Orthodox to be Judaizing heresies for a reason. Same reason that we consider Jews to be heretics, not ethnic Jews. Remember, I'm making the distinction now between people who believe in Judaism theologically versus people who are just ethnic Jews. I don't have any problem.
There is a great difference between one and the other. The heresy that he's talking about, the Judaism heresies, they were prominent in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd century, and a lot of them had to do with thinking that they were like the chosen people. That is the heresy. The heresy is there is not this kind of blood anymore when it comes to them being these chosen people. Right? You don't get the special things because you're supposed to have some kind of magic blood. That is not the way. So then you go, I will. What should we put as the goal? For the goal. Oh, I know. That's gonna be the goal. I will actually sing happy birthday to Brie. To none other than Brie. Okay? We're gonna do that one.
Problem with Arabs, and I don't have any problem with ethnic Jews. That has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
My point is, you can't look me in the eye and say that Protestant heresies led to the embrace of progressive ideology, but that Jewish heresies don't. And I can prove it to you. If you reject Jesus Christ, who is the source of all truth, what do you end up with? What do you end up with?
Let me say that even here in America, over the past 30 years...
This is not an answer to my question.
It is an answer. It is an answer.
Let me tell you about it now. Mormons believe they are the mythical 12th tribe. There's a lot of things they believe, okay? I don't want to go into magical spaceships and, space Mormon wives. You know what? We are going there. We are going there. Adorable little anti.
Moment, space, lives. Let's create lives. Moment, space, lives. God the Father has a body. It's a very tone body. He looks good. Moment, space, lives. Moment, space, lives. Magic underwear fitting tight. Magic underwear is feeling right. Moment space-wise. Moment space-wise. North Cola.
I would like to have intimacy with you
On the planet of Naboo. Magic underwear. Where? Right there. Moment space-wise.
Let's create
The true reason why Elon Musk wants a spaceship.
Moment space-wise. Godfather has a body. It's a very tall body.
He looks good, he looks good, he looks good, he looks good, 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 good. Space, sex, space, sex.
Moment space-wise. Moment space-wise. Space error. Moment space-wise.
Moment space-wise.
Moment space-wise.
Let's create space, sex, space.
Oh lord, I really like this, guys. Thank you very much, Jazzy Bear, for the insanely huge, enormous £5. It says Prodi here. And then we have an insanely huge, enormous $5 by none other that's Sam Griffith. It says, send them your money. Thank you very much for that. Really, really appreciate it. And then it says, Contempt, been time for Bozo here. Scott, thank you so much for being here, dude. Have a great time. Rest well. And then, hey, I went on the Black Chew Lost Tribe channel to talk to them. They were nice, but they said I was going to hell for being white. Don't let them know that the hell is based upon color. Okay, I didn't make the rules. I just enforced them.
Answer. I have had a fair amount of experience with Orthodox Jews who have been fans of mine. They come up to me at events. Now, why are they fans of mine? They socially, politically, morally, they are to the right of me. They are totally against abortion.
Well, morally? What do you mean morally? Moral to the right. They have no access to morals. Oh God. The morality, the framework, the idea of good comes from literally Christ. What is he talking about?
Abortion. They are totally against LGBTQ.
So are Muslims.
And not only do they say it, they actually live it.
So do Muslims.
Hold on. So are the Muslims, correct. But what I'm getting at is that to argue that Judaism is itself responsible for secularism is stupid, because the most religious Jews are not secular at all.
Great.
They
then,
are.
Then to argue that, look, let me
on
show
the
you
moral
how,
issues.
I'm going to show you how stupid this is. Then to argue that Protestantism is responsible for progressivism is stupid. Because out in the hallway, I met some Protestants and they were really fucking pissed.
No. Hold on.
That is literally the stupidest thing you've said tonight out of many stupid things. No,
this is pure
it's
sophistry.
not sophistry.
Well, let me tell you why. Because what you do with an analogy is you misstate the analogy. If you could find me a group of devout evangelical...
There's a common argument these days online where on the line of the right are you. People are over the place. They're all over the place because we don't have like this unifying idea of what it means to be to the right, right? We're losing this unifying idea of what makes us a united idea. What unites us. There's a lot of people who are very mad at the war. There's a lot of people who are very mad at Trump in general for a lot of things. There's a lot of people who lose patience. There's a lot of bad stuff going on around. Not necessarily because of Trump, but it surely doesn't. The war surely doesn't help. And we're trying to figure out what exactly is going to be the future, and we are worried about the midterms. Everybody's worried about the midterms. We really need the Safe America Act, and if we don't get it, it's going to be really hard. So it's going to be complex, and we're going through a complex process. But it will happen at the end of the day. We'll get there. Right? The unifying idea that we're going to have is not going to be Israel or the Jews, or the only unifying principle that we're going to have is going to be through Christianity. So even when I will disagree with a lot of people when it comes to the Christian ideations, there's a lot of people here that don't like me because I talk about the Orthodox Church as the true one, and I just haven't heard anything that would make me think otherwise. The historical ideas, the historic arguments, the basics for it just made it true. But it's not even about the argument even. Just it's true because it is. It's that simple. Honestly, I was pretty disappointed in Dinesh. It was such a pathetic showing. He didn't do well against Destiny either. And I don't think he did very well in general. But I'm not as disappointed. I think it's good for him. He needed a beating. The Wilsons are mersing these fools' reputations? Yes, they are.
Christians and say, these devout evangelical Christians who go to church on Wednesday, they go to church on Sunday, they are really into it and serious about their faith, but they happen to also support trans surgeries, they support abortion. I would be shocked because I would say no. If someone is devout and serious about their faith, they're not going to support those things. They're going to be solid on the moral issues.
So Episcopalians are not solid in their faith?
So I just told you that Orthodox Jews are very solid on the moral issues, and they are not part of secular degeneracy.
Yeah, but this is crazy.
And then you switch the analogy.
Destiny is still using JC as the main crux. Literally, all you have to do to debate Destiny when it comes to all of this, okay, when it comes to J6, it will be like, well, why did you change your position on it? I would have expected a lot more from Dinesh. I wouldn't. Hey, Grumple, good to see you. By the way, I saw you in the last picture at VK. Hope you enjoyed the show. It was good to see you, dude, there.
And give me a generic Protestants.
I'm going to repeat it to you verbatim to make sure I got it right before I respond.
Okay.
I'm going to steel man the position and so that there's no doubt this is not a straw man.
Okay.
You are saying to me, there are Orthodox Jews who are just super based, Andrew. They don't like abortion. They don't like LGBTQ. They don't like any of that degenerate stuff. Right?
Right.
Okay. Can we agree that there's lots and lots of Protestants, including Episcopalians, who you say are responsible for the current state of progressive Enlightenment principles being enacted in this nation, who are super based and also don't like abortion,
right,
and they also don't like LGBTQ, they don't like any of that. True or false?
Yeah, and those Protestants, hold on, those Protestants fall into the Assemblies of God. They fall into the Baptist denominations, very different from the Unitarians, the Anglicans, the Presbyterians, and the Methodists. I mean, the reason people...
But you just got done saying, though, now you're in contradiction.
I'm saying that
the second you say Episcopalians are responsible for this, but not some Episcopalians, you're making the same argument with the exception that I would. You're right. Judaism is also a heresy, therefore responsible for the integration of progressive values, especially in Israel, but not all of them. Great. What the hell have we established here? Except that heresies lead to progressive ideology across the board, which is why the church has always been against them.
Heresies should be rejected theologically.
Yes.
But it's possible in a decent society to make moral alliances with people who are heretics but agree with us on certain moral issues.
Agreed.
And so you could...
I agree with that. Yes. I'm not gonna run a purity test on everybody. I went to Grits, didn't even know the other events were happening. Then Jake and I went over to VK. That was late night. I didn't even make it to DebateCon yesterday. I mean, I would have enjoyed DebateCon, but I would probably really would have enjoyed. I think I would have enjoyed all of it, except the drinking. I wouldn't have enjoyed the drinking.
Could find someone in America right now who's an atheist, but they don't think that kids should be killed in the womb. They don't support euthanasia or infanticide. They don't support trans surgeries. And you would say, guess what? You know what, buddy? You're on the right side. Now, are you going to heaven? No. Theologically, you are on the outside.
But is it immoral not to support them? Is it immoral not to support them?
What I'm saying
is it immoral not to support that same group you just said we could make an alliance with if we so chose? Would it be immoral for us not to?
It would be immoral to reject them when they want to be in alliance with you on the side of good. It would be like the pro...
Nate says, I wouldn't have taken the drinking for you. I just don't drink that much. And lately, every time I drink, I just get super tired. And I just want to go to bed. So they're probably going to be like, oh, take this. Oh, yeah, you're going to get you drunk. And I would just go to bed. Like 5 minutes later, I would be gone. I say that a lot. You have to try to win people who are on the side. The more shit will box you in. They take a lot of shit for these two constantly. Yeah, but you do have to try to win people over. That's it. That you have to.
Pro-life movement deciding that anybody who's going to hell cannot be allowed in the pro-life movement. It would be wrong and immoral to do that because these are allies on a good cause. It doesn't matter if they have bad opinions on their socialists and other things. You don't support them in the socialism, but you support them in the area that they are on the side of good.
Got it.
And that's what I'm saying about Israel.
And this makes complete and total sense to me. So, if I'm breaking down your position, and I'm getting it totally correct, you're saying that if it is the case that, let's say there's a group of atheists who oppose abortion, you're not going to reject that help because the greater good is to stop abortion.
You would not reject their help in the pro-life cause, correct?
Right.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so it would actually be immoral in that context to reject that help.
Correct.
Got it. Now, let's get an equivalent analogy
yes.
for how it is that if we decide that we're not going to send billions of dollars to Israel, we're not going to send a single soldier over to help them at any time because the United States electorate doesn't want it, and if it is the case that we no longer want any Israeli influence in our government whatsoever, why would that be immoral?
Well, it would be a wrong decision both tactically.
Why would it be immoral?
It would be immoral because what we are ultimately doing is we are taking an ally that is on our side and is kicking the ass of the bad guys in a very dangerous neighborhood.
They're all bad guys.
No, they're not all bad guys on this issue. The Islamic project is global caliphate. There's no equivalent Jewish project to that. The Jews are fighting that, and they're doing it with great effectiveness.
So then tell me this. Let's just
so
pretend.
So in other words,
I'll grant
I'm not
it.
saying that we have democratically, we could decide by the majority of people saying we don't want to have anything to do with it.
Let's dive right in.
And we have every right to do that.
Let's dive right in. Let's find out if this is true, if this is logically true. Let us play pretend.
Okay.
Tomorrow, all of these Islamic nations right around Israel unite and they crush it and they wipe Israel out in a single day. Let's just say in this hypothetical.
Yeah. Okay.
What happens then to the United States? What happens to the United States?
What happens to the United States now is that you will have created what Islam has long dreamed of, which is...
And this is the point, right? We have to defend Israel because otherwise the Musis are going to be the ones in power. Who cares? And it was very well dismantled by Andrew. This debate was actually very interesting because of that. At the end of the day, I just don't want to send any money to these people. I don't think we need to send money to these people at all. At all whatsoever. Not a cent. I don't think we need to send any cent to these people. Let's go to some questions.
The Islamic project is between an is and an ought. And there's a certain naive view that an is and an ought are unconnected. That somehow if you say an is, no ought follows from the is. This is
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's called Hume's guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't.
And Hume is not only out of step with the mainstream of philosophy, it would...
Hold on, I do.
Okay.
Want to let Dinesh finish?
I'm very familiar with Hume. Don't get me wrong.
Hang on, that door is gray. That implies what ought?
Okay.
That door is gray.
Okay.
What implies what ought?
All right. I am an author. I ought to write some books. I just gave you an is that implies an ought. I am an author. That's an is. I ought to write some books. He is a doctor. He ought to cure people.
We're going to jump to
This
is the last question.
This is a keyboard.
What's the ought?
Okay. It ought to be used for computing.
This is the last question.
I just gave it to you. And because you're stumped, the best thing that you can do is to
fucking stumped,
guffaw
all right.
because you think
I remember this one. Oh my god, Hume's guillotine, he's literally going... I want to watch that again. I want to watch that again. In fact, I want to watch it all from the start. This is so good. Whoever this person is, realignment, my god.
This was good, but at the same time, I was left a little disappointed, not from you, but because you weren't able to actually argue the ought. And so my question to you, Andrew, is if you came with any idea of if he actually would have an ought, obviously that's not your responsibility, but what would your defense be?
In my opening statement, I predicted that Dinesh would not actually have an ought for this. Now, to be perfectly fair, and I'm going to be fair to my opponent, right? It was a spirited debate. I get all that. It is the harder position. It is literally the harder position, and usually you guys are just used to me taking the harder position, but for once, he had to defend a position. I thought it was important that he did, but I did not think he would have an ought, no, because I don't think it's easy to make one for this.
all right, so let me say a word about this. Somehow there is a distinction between an is and an ought, and there's a certain naive view that an is and an ought are unconnected. That somehow if you say an is, no ought follows from the is. This is
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's called Hume's guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't.
And Hume is not only out of step with the mainstream of philosophy. It would...
Hold on, I do.
Okay.
Want to let Dinesh finish? Want to let Dinesh finish?
I'm very familiar with Hume. Don't get me wrong.
Hang on, that door is gray. That implies what ought?
Okay.
That door is gray.
Okay.
What implies what ought?
All right. I am an author. I ought to write some books. I just gave you an is that implies an ought. I am an author. That's an is. I ought to write some books. He is a doctor. He ought to cure people.
We're gonna jump to
This
one.
is a
This is the
keyboard.
last question.
This is the keyboard.
What's the ought?
Okay, it ought to be used for computing.
This is the last question.
I just gave it to you, and because you're stumped, the best thing that you
I'm
can do is to
fucking stumped,
guffaw
all right.
because you think
I'm beyond. I don't even know. What are we talking about?
you think that in classical Christian philosophy, every ought.
All right, folks, need you to keep it down.
Jesus died for our sins. We ought to worship him. Is and ought is more closely connected than Hume conceded. Hume wanted to attack morality. And his way of attacking morality is to put all of morality in the ought column, and therefore to say that no ought can come out of an is. You think Aristotle would have agreed with that?
You just
no.
said, well, first of
No.
all, these are two different philosophies, but you just said, I said this is a key.
Those are two different philosophies, so they have different worldviews and understandings. God is what breaks, the is a problem, not the object themselves. I had a stroke. I ought to move my left side. I am alive. I know how to breathe. The ought is a recognition of biblical prophecy. The stroke. I ought to move my left side. Jesus.
Keyboard, and you said you ought to use it.
It ought to be used for...
Great, hang on. All I'm asking, I'm just going to ask a simple question. How do we get to the I ought to use it? Because I described that it is that thing.
Well, the ought is teleologically derived from the thing that it is. I mean, a lot of the argument...
Why can't I just use it as a paperweight?
Okay, a lot of the classical argument against homosexuality is that you have a rear end. It ought to be used for the purpose of excretion and not...
Oh, I remember this now. Oh, this is gonna be great.
...to stick large objects in it, right? There is an ought coming out of an is. There you go.
That does not defer an ought from an is.
Women are constructed in a certain way.
We do.
Hold on. Women are built in a certain way. That is the is, right? Women ought to live a certain way and derive certain social roles and responsibilities which arises out of their nature. I've just given you an ought that comes out of an is.
Hang on, Dinesh. I just want to, real quick, it'll take me 1 second.
Yeah, let's...
I ought to laugh at this. Ought means self-evident. Oh, this is gonna be great.
I walk into a room and there's a woman on the bed, spread eagle. I ought to fuck her, right?
Is that what I said?
No, that's what I'm asking.
No.
Why not? The telos, man. My penis goes there, bro.
Wow. Wow.
We're gonna wrap up. I do want to.
I forgot about that. So good. He said we ought to worship Christ because he died for our sins. My brain went, wait a minute, shouldn't he say we ought to worship him because he is God? We should be worshiping him because he's God. 100% ought to worship him because he's God. And who else? The face that he makes. It's like, uh-oh. It was at that moment that he knew he fucked up. Oh my god. Okay. This is gonna be the end of today's stream. I'm gonna go to bed. I've been going for so long. This is it. We're done, so bros. That was so funny. tomorrow we're gonna be doing the next part, okay, which is gonna be the Rob Noor and the Destiny debate. We're probably gonna skip the Destiny. I'm just gonna do the Rob Noor, and we're gonna do something funny. I'm just gonna do some art or something like that. And let me see if somebody is live. Give me just a second. Thank you so much for filling the goal, by the way, and for getting the 2 goals. That was greatly appreciated. I had a lot of fun today. That was really fun. I'm just gonna go to bed now. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see who's live. JS is live. I'm gonna send you over there. But to finish, we're gonna finish with this.
I got you on a liver, though. I got you. And then everybody's mad at me. Oh, gosh. Give me a break.
We're gonna have some fun.
You having a hard time at school because,
I really enjoyed today. It was great. Thank you all for being here.
Be a man? Well, maybe it's a you problem, Goy.
Maybe it's a you problem, Goy.
It's gonna stunt your growth.
Maybe you just don't know how to get a nut for a niece.
And we're gonna call it fixing you.
We're gonna call it fixing you.
And you're gonna be addicted to it.
I forgot about this song. Negotiating terms, you were. Yes, it's time to show you we're the best. Pest, you actually thought that you were chosen. We're not impressed. You thought deception was a flex. Guess. Well, now you're up against someone that knows the truth. The smell of a funeral in your home. Your mouth is an open catacomb. Speaking the word gets a little worse. You move through the crowd like a walking corpse. Just stay in the nightmare you know so well. 'Cause now you get recognized by your smell, and no one is with you anymore. It's time to reward you for all your work. I'm out of control.
Yes. Oh my gosh.